everyone, it's Lexie. So today's video I'll be continuing on with my recommended authors series that's kind of going on. So for this video's topic, it will be Kristen Hanna. So this is an author that I discovered back in 2010, and I've read a total of 10 books. So I feel like I have a good idea of her writing. I haven't read all of them, but I feel like I do have a general good understanding of her works, and she is one of my favorite contemporary historical fictions author. So I have the list of all the books that I've read here. As you can see, I was I could pull down all the books that I've hers that I read, but I'm a little lazy and I was like, I don't feel like it. But overall, like I said, her books are a very good blend, or for the most part either contemporary or historical fiction novels, but exclusively depending on regardless of the format, they focus on the stories of women, and the kind of narrative are based on women's perspectives, storylines, and different kind of atmospheres or different walks of life. And I think that's what's really unique, is that no matter there are some of these books that I've never had those experiences in, but she does so in a way that it's so interconnected that it doesn't matter where you're from, there is something relatable to the reader, because it's a story of women and we share different things, we have different experiences, but at the end of the day we're kind of feeling the same thing. And I think that's what I really like about this. Some of the stuff I've never, the Nightingale, I've never, obviously I never lived during World War II, but there was aspects in there that I could pull out and be like, I've had that experience. And I think that's what makes her books so universal, and why so many people, especially now with the popularity of the Nightingale, why her books have become so popular, and I'm very happy about that. So like I said, I feel like that's what makes her books really stand out. It's the female narrative, and especially on things like World War II, the Nightingale, that was probably one of the first popular World War II historical fiction novels that was told from the woman's narrative, because everything is always told from the male's perspective during the war. So I feel like that really was the really jump-started a lot of this push in just books in general to tell female stories, because I feel for such a long time it's well, no one's gonna want to read a story about a girl's experience growing up. But then it's actually people do, because especially women, because they have something to relate to. And I think that's what makes her books so great. And in addition to being relatable, I think that's what also makes these books pack that extra punch, in that they do make you feel a lot of emotions. Kristen Hanna does not shy away from harsh storylines or harsh experiences or deaths in here. And I think having that, you feel happiness, you feel joy, you feel the whole spectrum of emotions. And I feel books that, or authors that are able to kind of convey those emotions through storytelling, have a really special gift in all being able to kind of make you feel have that visceral response. So many of her books I've read that I've literally sobbed reading, and I feel there hasn't been any other authors who consistently have made me cry that way. And I think that is so unique and so interesting and very powerful as well. And that focus on the complexities of life and complexities of relationships between either sisters or best friends or husband and wife or mother and daughter, and the highs and lows of those things make these books so universal. And that's why I'm so happy that her books have, especially now within the past few years with the success of the Nightingale, her books have become so popular, and I'm so happy because it is so well deserved. So I feel my favorites, if I were to kind of share my favorites, I would have to say Firefly Lane and the Nightingale. The first book of hers that I read is The Things We Do for Love, which I really liked, but it wasn't until I read Firefly Lane that I was oh my gosh, I've never had a book impact me like that before. And because it basically tells their friendship story over the course of 3 decades, and there's so many things that people can pull away from, like I said, that are very relatable. And I remember I was reading this before my class, like I was in the hallway probably 20 minutes or half an hour before my class, and I was just like literally just sobbing reading this book, and it was just like so good. And then I read The Nightingale when it was first published, before kind of all the hype around it was built, and I was just like, oh my goodness, that's one of the books that I recommend to everyone. Like, that's how good it was. And I've always been a sucker for World War II, but I've never had one that kind of, like, again, had that female narrative and female perspective, and then just had that emotional impact on me. So like I said, those two are definitely my favorites. My least favorites have to be True Colors and Between Sisters. Like, Between Sisters was okay. It was just like, it was just kind of a fluffy contemporary. It had like some high and low points, but it wasn't to the caliber of like Night Road, Homefront, Firefly Lane, like The Winter Garden. It doesn't have that. It's like not up to that standard. So I'm like, yeah, it was okay. And then True Colors, it was one of my, I think it was like one of the T&T book club picks for last, like, late spring, early summer, and a couple of you guys really enjoyed it for that one. Like, it rubbed me the wrong way for whatever reason, but so like I said, like, I do enjoy most of her books. It was just like those two that were just kind of like, yeah, and then one where I was like, oh my god, this is horrible. But nevertheless, I think it's good. Like, it's okay to not like every single book a author publishes or like writes, and I think that's okay. But yeah, that's kind of my general review of Kristen Hanna and her books. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite Kristen Hanna book is and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys.